So last night's episode of Fargo was kind of hard to sit down and watch the storm of the century while it was 90 degrees outside in the real Fargo. But still, we're in the midst of winter and lots is happening in our fictional world of Fargo, Bemidji, Duluth, which are all conveniently very close to each other.
And for the second time, an actual scene in Fargo.
Yeah.
Woo!
So we'll get to that.
Yeah.
But first, so the episode starts out and...
kind of a flashback.
Yeah.
In reverse.
Flashback in reverse.
Something.
How does that work? But, so remind me how it started.
Well, it opens up with Gus sitting in the hospital waiting room. Obviously, he's waiting to see what happened to Molly. But then we jump back to Chaz's house.
Yes, where Lester has hidden granny panties, some sexy photos of Pearl, and a gun.
And a hammer.
Oh, and the hammer,
the
murder weapon, and then put a gun in little Gordo's backpack.
Gordo's got a gun.
What did his daddy do?
Gordo's got a gun. Yeah. We'll Aerosmith it up.
Yeah. So Gordo takes off on the school bus with his backpack.
Picking his nose.
Yeah, and he, not surprisingly, Gordo gets bullied at school and his backpack gets thrown across the lunchroom and out spills the gun.
Which brings Sheriff Bill over to Chaz's house.
And finds that pretty incriminating evidence.
Yeah, Chaz is in some deep water, both with his family and in jail.
So Chaz gets arrested, and that as that scene was unfolding, and Lester tells the lie to Bill about how Chaz and Pearl were having an affair, and Lester lied, and that's why he had the bullet in his hand, and because he was covering for Chaz, and Chaz gets framed. I found myself still not feeling bad for Chaz. Am I just a bad person?
No, Chaz
I was
is
like
kind of
okay with him being framed.
It is odd that the more conniving Lester gets, we're still not ready to call him a villain. Yet he is. He clearly is.
Yeah, he battied it up in this one.
Yeah, and I love the one twist where he said that Pearl. He claims that Pearl told Chaz while she was breaking up with him that you're not half the man your brother is, which is the flip of really what she did say.
Yeah.
So he's getting his.
He gets it.
He got a lot more at the end of the show.
Since we're Midwesterners, let's just say there were some relations that took place on last night's show, and we'll get there.
Yeah.
But the thing that I think everybody was wondering what would happen is, in last week's episode, we were left with Molly in the snow in a puddle of her own blood after Gus Grimley, the deputy dum-dum.
Dumb Gus.
Shot her, but we see her in the hospital. She's awake and well and doing more police work than anyone else who is on duty.
We find out that Molly shot Wrenches,
Mr. Wrench.
The mute.
The fringe-wearing deaf man.
Yes, and so she goes up to question him, gains a little bit of information.
But wasn't that a heart-wrenching scene?
When he asked what happened to his partner,
Numbers is dead.
He's dead.
And he looks
to the
off.
side. Sad, but
it was sad.
Yeah, but Molly now has a full idea of everything.
She has pieced it all together. She has created a flow chart of exactly what has happened on the show.
Yep.
And she seems the only person in this entire show that knows what the heck is going on. What the heck?
Because now Sheriff Bill thinks that he's wrapped it all up. He knows what's happened because
Chaz is in jail.
Chaz is in jail for shooting the previous sheriff and also killing Pearl. However, he has got no explanation for the death of
the naked man
and Hess.
Speaking of explanations, we got sort of a half-assed explanation of the fish falling through the sky. So apparently in that giant blizzard, a tornado went through and picked up all the fish from a lake, and that's where the fish came from.
Where did that come from?
That at the beginning of the show, Chaz's wife is watching the news, and they're like,
I couldn't hear that part.
You hear that? Crazy. So, yeah, I don't know that we could believe that.
Let's
but
ask John Wheeler. We'll ask John Wheeler if that's capable. Because that tornado would have to break through the ice. Granted, we've had some bad tornadoes in the area last week. Things can happen. But
I don't think Bass NATO is happening anytime soon.
No.
So, toward the end of the show, Lester takes off for the widow Hess's house to break the bad news, because don't all insurance men break this to their policyholders in person, that they will not be fulfilling her death claim, because Hess had stopped
Sam Hess,
paying
the
them.
late Sam Hess, where it all started, had stopped making payments. However, you get the feeling Lester's in for something else.
And he doesn't really break that news to her,
Yeah.
and so they share a drink and
Couple drinks,
and they
Couple
end
drinks
the
later,
episode with,
upstairs.
again, the juxtaposition of Lester's character at the beginning of the show, in which Pearl is bullying him and saying he's half the man of Chaz, and now he's flipped that around, and then Sam punched him, or attempted to punch him in that first episode, and talked about how he had once had relations with Pearl, and now Lester comes around and has relations with his wife.
I thought he said something at some point during that scene that he said, "I'm sorry," when he was looking at the picture of Sam, and maybe I'm wrong.
I don't know, but
Sam and the widow Hess. The other thing that happened last night is Lauren Malvo is on a mission to find out why two guys,
Fargo.
two hombres.
Oh yeah, how have we not talked about
Two
this?
hombres, why they stopped him in the streets of Duluth. So he goes to see his man in Nevada. Lauren Melville gets around a lot and
does.
fast. And he says, who do I need to see? Who do I need to talk to in Fargo to find out what happened? He ends up killing his man in Nevada. I believe we only hear a scream, but we can, he doesn't leave loose ends. So then he goes on a rampage in Fargo, in a building in Fargo.
Surprisingly has a lot more skyscrapers than I've ever seen in Fargo.
It's got a number of stories in this building. Goes on kind of a great filmed shootout in which you rarely see any shooting because it's all on the other side of glass.
The camera follows you through the windows, and then finally, man flies out the window.
The man, I believe, was the Australian.
I don't know. That was a really weird Fargo accent, if you ask me.
But then the other thing, it introduces the FBI agents, played by Key and Peele from the Key and Peele show. And they are as incompetent as all the other law authority, with the exception of Molly.
Yeah.
Very, very kind of a strange. You're wondering where that was leading into, where that's going.
Where is this going?
And then once again, Lauren Melville walks away unscathed.
So we have three episodes left to wrap all of this up. Any predictions? You not making predictions yet?
I don't know where you go from here.
I kind of think it's going to be Lester kills Melvo at the end.
I'm going to stick with Gus Grimley. Gus Grimley, who's the dog catcher. And there's lots of, Lauren Malvo talks a lot about wolves, dogs, canines, predators. And
maybe Molly will be the one to finally get Lester.
It would make sense that Molly, who last night had a nice little homage to Marge, when she's talking to Wrenches in the hospital, she basically says, why all this blood, and for what? Which was a real nice homage to Marge's scene with, I can't remember the...
What's his face in the back seat?
Pear, whatever.
Yeah, so I guess, your guess is as good as mine.
I think how many more homages to Fargo will we have?
I hope there's a wood chipper.
Who will finally bring in or take down, it'll be take down, Lauren Malvo, and will there actually be anything happening between Molly and the man who shot her, the idiot Gus Grimley?
We'll have to wait and see.
Tune in next week.